time for the final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts, Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day, so join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
What a great weekend it was. And I'm hoping for more good stuff tonight. Of course, I'm talking about the Yankees and the Red Sox.
Ooh.
In Yankee Stadium, 1-1 in their series. But I know you want to talk about the Gamecocks and the Tigers. You know, the great thing about South Carolina and Clemson this year, we have another quarterback controversy we can kick around. Do we have a quarterback controversy?
I don't know if we have a controversy, Phil, but good evening, by the way. I don't know if you can definitively say that the number one quarterback is going to be definitively healthy on Saturday.
Well, yeah, if he's not healthy, of course not. But let's say he is healthy. Let's say he is healthy, able to run with the ones and do everything, and his knee feels fine. Scarnecchia looked good. I went back and watched the game today. Man, you had a fun game. You really had I know it was long.
Fun? You called that fun?
I love football in the mud and the rain.
You thought that was fun?
Yeah, it was great to watch. The kids were having fun. The students were having a blast. The players were, when Bryson Allen made that play in the fourth quarter, I think it was, and he came running to the sideline and did a splash into the water. I mean, that's just fun.
I'll say this.
Collegiate fun, good, clean fun, and a great win for South Carolina. What a gut. You know, we talked about Clemson's culture-building, gutsy win over Syracuse with their backup quarterback. You can just rubber stamp that for South Carolina because it was all that and more over that Missouri team.
Well, here's what I will say about Saturday. That was really one of the most bizarre, and I've not been doing this as long as you, but that was one of the most bizarre games I'd seen, whether it was in person or on television or whatever. It was so many different things happened in that game, between the weather delay, the clock's not working, the headsets going out. We had rain, we had hail, we had 90 and sunny at the beginning. You don't usually see in a football game. And to think about all the things, the self-inflicted errors that Missouri made that gave the Gamecocks the opening. Now, I've been talking with a lot of my friends back in the Midwest.
I'm sure you have been.
Who were very, very salty about the DeMaria.
Is it talking or commiserating?
I wasn't commiserating. I have no ill will or really bad thoughts about what happened Saturday.
Right.
The thing that I was mad about is the people who are trying to blame the referees and the officials from the Southeastern Conference who overturned the 70-yard touchdown run by DeMaria Crockett, which I thought was the right call. I've yet to be able to prove that to them. Even though I tried to slow it down and show a screen grab, people are like, "Oh, I still see green. I still see green." You know what? His toe clicked up when J.C. Horn tackled him. They said in the conference release, J.C. Horn wins SEC Freshman of the Week for his trip that he got on DeMaria Crockett to save a touchdown. And all I'll say is this. Are we really talking about the DeMaria Crockett touchdown reversal if one of four things is a thing? Number one, you get 0 points on that drive on 1st and 10 from the 10.5. Number two, 3 first-half drives in the red zone, ending as 3s and not 6s. Drew Lock did not complete a pass in the red zone, by the way, the entire day on Saturday. Number three, you call a tight end fade from Derek Dooley on a 2-point try, which is the stupidest call I've seen in a long, long time. And number four, Drew Lock threw the worst interception I've seen from a Missouri quarterback, and I witnessed the other one that was probably in contention when he threw the ball right to Sherrod Green. Right to Sherrod Green, like it was intended for him.
Brian, he sounds angry.
No, I'm angry.
He sounds hurt. He sounds a little bit hurt.
I'm not
a little
hurt.
bit angry.
I'm hurt because the Missouri people are trying to devalue what I thought, like you said in the open, was a real culture-type win for South Carolina. I give South Carolina full marks, and Michael Scarnecchia was a lot better than I expected him to be on Saturday.
What impressed me about Scarnecchia, he stood in the pocket.
Cool.
He stood in the pocket. He released at the last moment. He took the hit. He put the ball on the money. And you talk about a fourth down, a fourth quarter saved the team drive in the moment. How about Kyle Markway?
The Missouri guy.
With the catch and the run to
How
set the
ironic
whole
is
thing
that?
up. And then, of course, Parker White has – listen, I was ready to shoot my place kicker yesterday in Detroit. I mean, if I had a long-range rifle, Mason Crosby, one of the greatest kickers. Did you watch that?
I did.
It was like watching Tiger Woods just shank 9-iron after 9-iron.
I thought Lucy was holding for Mason Crosby
There
yesterday.
was nothing wrong with the snap or the hold. He just had a kink in his leg. And it cost the Packers dearly. And so Parker White has to go out there, and it was wet. It wasn't raining at that point, but it was still a sloppy field, and he had to nail a pressure-packed field goal, and he did it.
By the way, that new turf, by the way, I think South Carolina needs to get their money back because there was a lot of significant puddling on that field.
Do you think just because of the amount in such a short amount of time, it just overwhelmed the drainage system? I noticed that. I noticed the water was standing.
It was not good in the end zones, on the boundaries, and even some parts of the middle of the field. Maybe it was the fact that there was a lot of rain that fell in a short amount of time. I don't know how. I'm not smart enough to know how the drainage system works, but you don't usually see that on fields at this level.
All right, so the Gamecocks really saved their season. Now they have something to feel good about with Texas A&M coming in. They're a 2-point underdog against Texas A&M. We'll see how the quarterback thing works its way out over the weekend. By the way, I'm not 100% sure. I think Clemson just scored again in Winston-Salem.
That's good.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
I will
that
say
was
this.
A true track, not a track meet because a meet means you've got competition, but it was just a sprinter's duel between really Etienne and Lynn J. Dixon, with a little Adam Choice mixed in for good measure.
I have one more thought on the quarterback, but I will comment on that. I wonder how much that drubbing helped Clemson, but also hurt them in the eyes of many, because we saw the announcement today from the ACC and the folks at the Mickey Mouse Network who say that, you know what, we don't want a top 20 matchup between two teams in the ACC who are undefeated, who are in the top 20. Now, we'd rather watch Big Ten football between Purdue, who lost to this Missouri outfit, and Ohio State, because we want to talk more about Urban Meyer, because we don't really respect what Clemson is doing, despite the fact that they beat a team by 60 in conference.
In other words, you're telling us that Clemson NC State will kick off at 3:30.
It will at 3:30 on either ABC or ESPN. And the game that they're trying to battle with there is Penn State and Indiana. I mean, who the hell cares about Penn State? You can tell I'm a little fired up today.
A lot of things to be fired up about.
Penn State and Indiana? You mean to tell me you're considering this for ABC? They should put that on ESPN 8, The Ocho. Who wants to watch that yawner between those two?
All right, Atlanta Braves are leading the Dodgers 2-1. Braves are batting in the bottom of the fifth. They got 2 runners on as they try to stay alive and force a 5th game back in L.A. Houston, easy winner today over Cleveland, so the Astros sweep. They await the winner of the Yankees and the Red Sox series, which will be continuing tonight in New York. Just down the street. I didn't grow up too far from Yankee Stadium,
Sure.
Just down the street from where I used to lay my head.
Sure.
1-1 is that series. And, of course, last night it was Milwaukee advancing on to the ALCS with a sweep of Colorado. So that's the baseball wrap-up. So I know you got a lot to talk about. Our poll question on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, also available on our Twitter at SportsTalkSC, is who should be South Carolina's starting quarterback on Saturday? Should it be the incumbent, Jake Bentley, or the challenger, Michael Scarnecchia? 77% of nearly 1,400 votes, 77% like the backup.
I will say this. Will Muschamp has the cover now that he needs to play Scarnecchia over Bentley. He has it. But I still believe that the best option for them to win is a healthy Jake Bentley. I can't guarantee his health by Saturday because, again, if he wasn't good enough to play Saturday, I don't believe that. I think, wouldn't you rather take this week plus the bye to ensure his full health?
Let's talk about it. 800-956-7266 gets you directly into our ears. 800-956-7266. Email us at talkback@sportstalksc.com and on Twitter. It's at SportsTalkSC. We'll have First and 10 with Zach Willis later tonight. And, of course, the Panthers got an exciting win.
I have some funny audio from that.
I bet you do, and we'll be right back.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
More from you, 800-956-7266. Tweet us at SportsTalkSC.com. Corn mentioned the poll, which is already more than 1,000 people old. We have plenty of reaction on who South Carolina should start this week, Michael Scarnecchia or Jake Bentley. 77% of you believe that Scar should start for Scar, and 23% of you believe that Bentley should start. There are some write-in votes for DeCarrion Jr. as well, who we did not see Saturday. I was a tad surprised by that. But in my mind, Corn, like I said going into the break, you have the cover to play Scarnecchia if you want to. I think you do. But I also think that you have to prepare Bentley as if he's going to start. The question is, I don't know if that knee is going to be healthy enough for him to move around. And believe me, looking at the brace, seeing him in pregame, he was grimacing. And there was one point in the pregame where he was playing catch. He was throwing. And whoever was throwing the football, because you know the way they do this, the quarterbacks will throw and they'll have somebody catch for them.
Mm-hmm.
The person who was trying to catch for Bentley, the ball fell short. It bounced and hit him right in the injured knee. Right on the knee. And he like doubled over. And
you wonder if it's more serious than it's made out to be. You know, one thing about Muschamp, he's not real good at diagnosing injuries and predicting when somebody's going to be healthy again and able to return.
I would say he is intentionally evasive about the injured players on his team because the rules don't really compel you to be. In the NFL, you are compelled by that injury report, and there are sanctions for people who screw with it. We saw it happen to Belichick a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
If you lie about injuries or you're evasive about injuries, there's no penalty for you in the college game.
All right, 800-956-7266. You can jump right on board here tonight on Sports Talk. Your thoughts on South Carolina's win. What do you think is going to happen at quarterback? What should happen? And what does this win do for the Gamecock season? As for Clemson's win at Wake Forest, what can you say? It was a complete domination by the Tigers. Jeff Scott was a little bit upset with Desmond Howard after the game.
And what was that all about?
Well, because Howard apparently on one of the ESPN shows earlier in the day said Clemson was a finesse offense and didn't really line up and knock people off the ball. I'm not. That's not a quote. That must have been something that he said like that. And in his opening statement to the media afterwards, Jeff Scott pointed out that they dominated the line of scrimmage, that they had 3 running backs rush for over 120 yards, that they rushed for about 400 yards. That's not finesse, and he wanted Desmond Howard to get that message. And later in the night, Desmond Howard responded on Twitter with kind of a snarky reply. And in fact, in his own little personal poll, he did not have Clemson among the top 4. He had Notre Dame among his top 4. So
that's a Midwest bias thing. Here's the thing. Notre Dame being undefeated scares the bejesus out of me if I'm a Clemson fan, because of the fact that while they don't necessarily play in the ACC, they have those 5 ACC games to look upon. And also they have, games against teams in the top 25, like Michigan earlier in the season. They're going to play Stanford. They're going to play Southern Cal, who aren't necessarily good teams, but there are teams that people who are in that room in Grapevine, Texas will take notice of more so than Clemson's blowout victories over Georgia Tech and Wake Forest and the like.
Couple of quick notes. You got the kickoff time for Clemson, and you got the line on South Carolina. SEC honors go out to Parker White, the co-special teams player of the week, and to USC's J.C. Horn, who was named the freshman of the week. ACC honors go out to Clemson running back Lynn J. Dixon as the rookie of the week, and that is the one player honored from Clemson today. The new FCS ranking, Wofford moves into a tie for 6th with James Madison. Terriers are 4-1 after the win over Chattanooga, undefeated in the SoCon. North Dakota State is number 1, followed by South Dakota State and Kennesaw State. The Big South specialist of the week, Charleston Southern's Kyle Rygard, who is a punter who averaged 47 yards per punt.
A couple of tweets from you, and then we'll get to some phone calls, 800-956-7266. You can tweet us at SportsTalkSC and also vote on the poll question, Bentley or Scarnecchia versus A&M. Chris writes us at SportsTalkSC. I like Jake Bentley, but Scarnecchia played the position with confidence, didn't crack under pressure, but the A&M game may be different now that there is film out on Scarnecchia. A couple of others. Vic says, doubt the coaches make a change. To do so would be admitting they failed at quarterback evaluations. Your thought on that?
No,
I don't think that's the
no.
thing.
I don't think so. And again, I don't think that you. I think if Jake Bentley is totally healthy and able to protect himself, he will start. I think because you look at his career to this point, over 5,000 passing yards, 32 touchdowns, I think it is. But the thing is, now you have got a guy you can go to if Bentley struggles. There's no reason now. And I have to apologize to Scarnecchia because let's face it, the poor guy has been the butt of jokes from this room and other talk show hosts and media for 5 years because nobody thought he was any good.
Thing I was saying every day, like people were asking me, is he any good? And I said, we don't know, but I think it's definitive enough the fact that he had went 4.5 years without taking really any meaningful snaps.
Yeah, we're not the only ones. His coaches didn't think he was good enough to play, and he only played because they were in a desperate situation, and he responded like a prince. I mean, I'm telling you, cool, calm, collected. I was very impressed with how he handled the pocket, how he moved around, how he threw the ball on time and on target. Didn't hit every pass, of course, but he hit some big ones, and he hit the big one when he had to on that last drive.
And there were a couple of drops. I mean, you obviously follow with the recruiting. I mean, when he was recruited by South Carolina, his only significant offer was UAB.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that reaction from you when you're reading your recruiting report 5.5 years ago, being like, South Carolina is taking a quarterback whose only offer is UAB.
Yeah.
That probably did not go over very well.
First of all, it took us all about a month to figure out how to pronounce his name. And when he committed to South Carolina, it was like, Michael who?
And I'm not.
And this was a guy.
I'm not trying to say this to berate the young man. I'm trying to tell you how far this man has come.
Well, this was a guy that Steve Spurrier personally recruited at South Carolina, and I'm sure he has a great deal of fondness for the young man for hanging in there. And then he kind of feels like he's vindicated somewhat because he showed what he could do. Now, even when Spurrier was the coach, he didn't play Scarnecchia very much, if at all, but he always talked about he's got a good arm, he's very smart, and he won't get you beat. And that's the other thing you have to consider about his performance. 0 turnovers in that weather. And go back in the second half when it was raining cats and dogs, look at his numbers and how good they were in the third and fourth quarters passing the football in those conditions.
I really thought that they could have given him more. I asked that question directly of Muschamp, and he said, well, you know, the weather dictated a lot of our play calling. I thought that was a tad bogus, but Spurrier's Biffle, Josh Kendall went and sought him out to get
Spurrier's what?
Biffle, his best friend for life.
Oh,
Josh Kendall. Man, what a performance. He drew the ball beautifully. And that last pass right before the field goal was really a thing of beauty. He zipped that thing in the open area, making a lot shorter field goal. Really proud of Michael. Really proud. Is that a good Spurrier?
Well, did he also throw in a promotion for his new favorite beer?
Dos Equis. I love that Dos Equis. I put that on the field at Ben Hill Griffin Stadium.
All right, 800-956-7266. Lines are a little quiet for a Monday night, so you got time to jump on board.
It's Columbus Day, man.
Well, and of course, everybody won, so nobody's mad about anything.
Yeah.
One note out of Alabama, starting corner Trayvon Diggs broke his foot. He's out indefinitely. He was injured in the win over Arkansas, so that's a little bit of a loss for Alabama, as if he will be missed. I'm sure they've got somebody great they can put into his place. As far as the ACC and SEC happenings over the weekend, besides the 2 games that we watched, how about Florida now? I mean, they're starting to really stand up and be noticed. You cannot discount Florida anymore.
I'm not happy.
I mean, they're winning ugly.
Yeah,
they still don't have a great offense.
I know.
Felipe Frank is still not going to wow anybody, but they're just effective enough.
I swear.
They had 5 sacks. They had 5 sacks in their win.
I don't know what it is. I just don't like Florida. I just don't like them at all. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to be convinced. They are winning ugly. They are doing the things that they need to do to win. And the LSU victory is probably the first impressive victory for me on their ledger. But I still don't buy them as someone who's a top, contender for the SEC.
Too bad for LSU. Sapped some of their emotion out with Alabama coming in. That game, by the way, at LSU this week already been declared a sellout. How about CBS in 2 weeks? They chose the Alabama-Tennessee game.
That's going to be NC-17, not suitable for children.
Oh, my goodness. You get to watch Tennessee make a fool for itself on national television.
But that's
in front of Alabama.
But that's a rival.
It is a great rivalry.
And they want to,
Well, it's not a rivalry if you don't ever win. Be careful. It could apply to USC and Clemson.
Watch who you say that to. We're back, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network, 800-956-7266. It is a football Monday, which means we've reserved the time for you to chat about Gamecocks win over Mizzou, Clemson victory over Wake Forest, anything else you want to bat around, quarterback controversy at South Carolina. By the way, on Dabo Sweeney's conference call, which we may air a little bit of here, he says Ben Batson is the firm number 3, despite the reps that Hunter Renfrow got, and that under no circumstances is Christian Wilkins getting anything in the way of quarterback reps.
Well, he's about the only one who didn't play quarterback. That game was such a joke. Hunter Renfrow played some quarterback last series or so.
And
punted. Here was the other thing. When he was the quarterback, there was a play, I think it was Lynn J. Dixon broke off a long run. He got down in front of the pile and was leading the blocking from the quarterback spot as Lynn J. was running down the sideline.
Not often that you're able to use every one of the 72 travel squad in a game in a conference play.
By the way, stay tuned. Tonight, we'll give a lucky caller a chance to be our Terminix Pest or Best Fan. That'll be coming up a little bit later on. We'll have 3 questions for you, so stay tuned for that. We have First and 10 with Zach Willis coming up, and the voice of the Panthers, Mick Mixon, coming up as well. Let's get to your phone calls, 800-956-7266. Mark, over in Aiken, good evening, and welcome into Sports Talk.
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call. Regarding the Clemson game this past weekend, comments, it's going to go like this. The way that they looked Saturday is, I think, that's the way they're going to need to look from here on out. And with the playoffs ranking coming out, I guess, about 2 weeks, I'm not sure if it's going to come out before they play the NC State game. But let me ask you this first off: how much weight now will the A&M game carry, you think, since they beat Kentucky? And I won't be at all surprised if they are on the outside looking in at the 5 spot when the first one comes out, based on what I've seen from Notre Dame and the other top 3. But where do you guys honestly see them when the first ranking comes out? Thanks for the phone call. You guys have a great night. Thanks.
When I was told by somebody is you better be the biggest LSU fan in the world because LSU plays Georgia this week.
Yes. Is it Georgia? They play Georgia, not Alabama. Did I say Alabama earlier? Whatever it is, it's a sellout. Yeah. You need and you know what? It would behoove Clemson for Texas A&M to beat South Carolina and beat South Carolina impressively. As you look at I was going to look up the strength of schedules at this particular point in the season, if I can find a ranking that is up to date. Where is the strength? Here we go. Sagarin would have it. The current strength of schedule. That is, you make a good point with Notre Dame having the kind of season that it's having. They're breathing right on Clemson's neck. Strength of schedule, that'll be something that'll be talked about. And let's see. Well, right now, of course, it doesn't matter with Alabama. Their strength of schedule is 59. Ohio State's 56. Clemson is 40. So they're better than those two. Penn State is 31. Georgia is 62. Oklahoma right now really doesn't matter. They're 32. Where's Notre Dame? Notre Dame is 18.
All I'll say is this. And
this is by Sagarin.
And you know that you hate when I bring this up, but the thing that I think about again is the fact that this is again a television show, and I'm cynical, and I just think that there are going to be a lot of people who are looking at those old folks in the Northeast and seeing Notre Dame sitting there undefeated.
Well, and they're tired. They're tired of Alabama.
And they're tired of Clemson.
And they're tired of Clemson. And they're tired of Oklahoma. Maybe not so tired of Georgia since last year was their first year. Look who has the 5th.
Georgia's hot and sexy right now.
Look who's got the 5th strongest schedule in the country so far this year.
South Carolina?
Number 5.
Oh, they played Georgia. They're going to play A&M here this week. They got Kentucky.
Yeah. I guess Missouri brought a little bit of punch. A little bit. I don't know where they were prior to Saturday.
Missouri sucks. Let's
continue. Bitter. Get the bitterness out of your system.
Missouri sucks.
Keith in Spartanburg, welcome to Sports Talk. How are you?
I'm fine. I was at that game on Saturday, and that's the hardest I've ever seen it rain at Williams-Brice.
Did you get wet?
I got a little bit wet, but it was worth it to get the win.
Good. No question about it. No question
but
about
the question I've got with all the flags for the taunting and the targeting, I don't remember which quarter it was, but one of the Missouri players picked up Debo Samuel and body slammed him.
Yes.
And there wasn't a flag. Why is there not?
They called the flag on that. They called
the flag.
Yeah, they did. They called the flag on Therese Hall of the I called it personal foul German suplex.
Okay.
No, they called the flag on that.
Okay, well, I missed that with all the confusion, but I mean, I didn't see it, but I was confused and upset. And really, I don't understand why that wouldn't result in a targeting and ejection because he was trying to hurt Debo.
It was not a targeting because it did not involve the head. It was more on the.
Yeah, I understand.
It was called an unnecessary roughness after the play. That's what it was called.
And it was a 15-yard penalty.
It was.
Okay, well, I missed that. I apologize for that. But
no problem.
Hey, it was a good game. You didn't know which way it was going to go, but hey, I'm a lifelong Gamecock fan. I live and die with them, and I will be there for the Tennessee game.
Thank you. Appreciate your phone call. By the way, I don't think this was reported anywhere. I was one of the few people to see it, but as soon as the whistle went off, the scoreboard went to 3-0 at BB&T Stadium in Winston-Salem. Officials threw a flag on Clemson for a game roughing penalty.
What?
They roughed up the opponent the entire game. Roughing.
Okay.
Gee, man, Christmas. You don't get that? A game roughing penalty? You beat somebody by 60, you should be penalized for that. All right,
like I said,
a little bit over your head. I understand.
That's the kind of, like I said, this is the kind of result that while it helps Clemson to look impressive, it doesn't help them in the fact that it makes the rest of the ACC look pedestrian.
You don't have to have Clemson beat an ACC team by 60 for the league to look pedestrian this year. It's pitiful. Now, maybe Miami, look, they beat Florida State. We're going to talk about some of the numbers around the ACC and SEC over the weekend in a moment. But again, Florida State was putrid. Miami's got the #1 defense, or
I'm telling
one of the top defenses in the ACC right now.
Is the worst coached football team in the country. Worst.
Yeah.
Freaking worst.
Richard in Charleston. Welcome into Sports Talk on a Monday. How are you? Hey, Richard, are you there? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Yeah, you were talking about the ACC being a bad team or a bad league, and I was just wondering what makes the Big Ten any better. I mean, Ohio State's running over teams like what, Rutgers?
Well, you do have Ohio State, you do have Wisconsin.
Please.
Well, you do, and you do have Penn State, which until they lost to Ohio State was being talked about in the national playoff situation. So you got 3 teams right there. And you got Michigan, which is always there because they're Michigan, even though they've got a bad loss on the resume. Those are 4 teams, though, that still get a lot of national respect at this point in time. Now, what's going to happen, of course, and we're going to see this in the SEC moving forward, there's going to be self-elimination games here coming up.
Yeah.
Clemson doesn't really face – name me an elimination game that Clemson and NC State. I mean, that's the 2 best teams in their division. They're both 5-0, or Clemson's 6-0, I guess, and State's what, 5-0. That is the game for the East, but nobody thinks NC State's got anything for Clemson.
For the Atlantic, you mean?
For the Atlantic, yeah.
Duke could be an elimination game just in the eyes of the national folks. I don't know.
Duke. This isn't basketball, man.
I know.
All right, thank you for the call.
I'm trying. Listen. I'm not a big Big Ten guy either, but like I said, the Big Ten has a better narrative working for them right now. This is all about how you can present yourself. Right now, the ACC is not presented to the national media and the folks who are the talkers of college football a good case as to why they're deserving of any love.
And with Oklahoma losing,
Big 12 isn't getting good.
Absolutely.
Big 12.
And what's the Pac-12 got?
Big 12 and the Pac-12 have no business being at the table.
I mean, Washington's trying to make up for lost ground from that loss to Auburn, but Auburn's not helping by losing games now too.
It's not good.
All right, be right back.
Now back to Sports Talk, South Carolina's most listened to sports talk show for more than 30 years.
Our second hour is full of opportunities to hear about what happened from the weekend that was. Zach Willis will join us. We'll do our high school sports report as well with David Shelton, sponsored by the folks at Farm Bureau Insurance. And also, we will talk to Mick Mixon, the voice of the Panthers, on their come-from-behind win over the New York Football Giants. Still have time to hear more from you, 800-956-7266, recruiting in a mere moments as well.
Yeah, let's do it right now. Then we'll get back to your phone calls. Catch you up on what happened over the weekend, and we'll begin with basketball. 6'9" Wildens Levesque of Brockton, Mass. was at USC over the weekend. His first football game ever. He loved it. He said he loved everything about the football. As far as the basketball, loves the coaching staff, enjoyed watching practice, and they pointed out how they use their big men to him. They see him as a Chris Silva replacement type, and that's kind of what they're selling him on at South Carolina. And they've told him, he said they told him, don't be surprised if you come to South Carolina if you don't blow up at South Carolina, he said. So he's taken officials to VCU and to home state UMass. Now he's moving towards a decision. He thinks it's going to take some time and think about things and talk with his family. Not sure if he's going to take any more officials. He talked about visiting Penn State. Not sure if that's going to happen right now. And he also had a chance to hang out with the other recruit in for an official, Dante Scott of Philadelphia. Meantime, 6'7" Christian Brown of Powder Springs, Georgia, formerly of Columbia, went to Georgia over the weekend, official. He was impressed with Tom Crean and the effort that Crean is putting into recruiting him, and they like his versatility. He's also been to Clemson officially, but the Tigers are no longer really a factor. He's also been to UNLV, nothing else scheduled. 2020 6'8" Javon Benson of Ridgeview was at USC Saturday. He has offers from Upstate and SC State. 2021 point guard Tyler Rice of Ridgeview was at USC unofficially Saturday. In football, cornerback Jalen Perry, Decula, Georgia, who decommitted from Georgia over the weekend, did make it to USC for the Missouri game, so that's big for USC. 2020 place kicker Axel, you do French?
Sure.
Leprevu.
Hold on,
he's out of Bradenton, Florida, but he grew up in France. And his parents are French before they moved in the 6th grade to Florida. And
Le Prévost.
Yeah. Anyway, he has an offer from Southern Miss.
That's what I would say.
He has an offer from Southern Miss, interest from Nebraska, FIU, Harvard, Yale, and Cincinnati.
He's no DJ Ukulele.
He was at USC Saturday.
Or Tyson Pumachan.
And the Gamecocks plan to continue to keep an eye on him. He was one of the top-ranked kickers in the Ray Guy Pro Kicker evaluation.
Still think a missed opportunity with Kofi Cockburn. I'm just doing the all-name recruiting team from this past year.
2020 place kicker Kellen Grave de Peralta.
Jesus.
Of Norcross, Georgia.
Now you're just making these up.
No.
You're just making
2020 place kicker Kellen Grave de Peralta.
Jesus.
It's my Spanish.
That's bad.
Of Norcross, Georgia was at USC Saturday. 2020 quarterback Navy Schuler.
He was at USC?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Todd Ellis is going to have a terrible time with that one.
Well, he's not committed. He just was there visiting.
Guarantano, Guantanamo.
2020 quarterback Navy Schuler. Yes, his name is Navy.
Yes.
Out of Arden, North Carolina, was at the USC Missouri game. He's the son of Heath Schuler.
I know who Heath Schuler is.
He had 561 yards passing and 6 touchdowns in his game Friday night.
There was a George Carlin bit on names. Just thinking of that right now.
2020 athlete Dalen Smith, Fort Valley, Georgia, and 2021 running back Trenton Atkins of Clintwood, Virginia, also were at USC Saturday. 2021 receiver and free safety Ahmud Sankey of Alcoa, Tennessee, and 2022 offensive lineman Eli Henderson of Burns had planned to be at the USC Missouri game. One-time Clemson target tight end Keon Zipperer of Lakeland, Florida, announced a top 6 without Clemson: Alabama, Florida, LSU, Miami, Oklahoma, and Penn State. 2020 receiver Jalen Hyde of Dutch Fork did make it to Virginia Tech Saturday night for Notre Dame. He said it was an amazing, great atmosphere. They enjoyed him being there. They want him back. He plans to visit USC this Saturday. He has been to Clemson twice and to Duke this season. In baseball, 2022 infielder Connor Furman of Daleville, Virginia, committed to USC Saturday. He's also a right-handed pitcher. There you go with recruiting. Remember, check it out regularly on our website, SportsTalkSC.com, and on Twitter, use the hashtag #STRecruiting.
That was about the most eclectically named recruiting report I've heard from you.
You got to be bilingual these days, and I think I handled it pretty well.
I think that was trilingual.
I think so. I hit 3 different languages. Braves are now trailing 3-2 in the 7th.
That's a shame.
They had a chance.
It's a shame.
Had the bases loaded and could not score additional runs.
Pro's not here to defend their honor. Too bad.
Pro's on vacation this week, by the way, if you're wondering. Let's go to Matt in Chester. We get back to calls here as we approach the top of the hour. Matt, good evening. Welcome in. How are you? Hello, sir. Yeah. Matt, are you there? Yes, sir.
Enjoy your show. I'm from the upstate, and what's going on with Josh Bell? Are you going to be redshirted? Is he playing, or what's the story on that?
Played on Saturday. I mean, I wouldn't say he did anything that really stood out to me, but I think they see him as an integral part of that defensive line with those young players like J.J. Ngbari, my guy, and not Ricindo Lewis. I think Ricky Sandage. So I think those 3 represent, I would say, the future of South Carolina's interior defensive line, and they've been doing a lot of things to kind of make up for DJ Wanham not being on the edge. So they've floated Keir Thomas out to the outside a lot more. They've used a lot of odd fronts as well. But no, Josh Belk is an integral part of this season. I don't think he's going to redshirt. I don't think he's played in 4 games yet, but I think he's set to play the whole year for South Carolina, provided that there's health.
I think if they could get by without him, they should redshirt him.
But
I think he would benefit tremendously from a redshirt.
I don't think they believe they can, which is why he showed
because
up.
He needs to get in better shape. He needs to get like Kinlaw. Boy, Kinlaw is just becoming a dominating player.
I've seen nobody at his weight reverse field like he does. People will say, "Oh, what about Christian Wilkins?" I say, Christian Wilkins is a big guy who is strong. Christian Wilkins' strength is not his agility; it's his strength. Javon Kinlaw reverses field at 305 better than anybody I've seen at that weight. He holds his weight so well.
He has found a motor that a lot of people didn't think he had coming out of high school.
And the dumbest thing is he looks thinner than both you and I at 305.
I think you should speak for yourself. Please do not use me in comparison to you.
I'm speaking for both of us.
When it comes to figures.
Listen, you can eat all the buffalo chicken salad you want. You're still not going to look as svelte. You're still not going to look as svelte as Javon Kinlaw.
All right, real quick. Glenn in North Charleston before the top of the hour. We'll take more calls in hour number 2. Hello, Glenn.
Hey, y'all. Hey, look at it this way. When it gets this hot this time of year, that means good things ahead. High 70s for the weekend coming up. Great football weekend. Shirt sleeves will be great. Not only that, Carolina's going to tear up A&M. So they better get ready to get their butt kicked.
We got to wait for another hurricane before that, though, Glenn.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I know, but big deal. We got Friday's going to clear up. It's going to be right at the end of the tunnel. So
well, I hope you're right. I hope that because, my goodness, South Carolina, if anybody deserves a break in the weather, it's South Carolina fans.
You know, I checked that now. I apologize. I thought he played. He did not. He did not check out in the final participation. So my apologies. I thought he played. He did not.
All right. Talking about Josh Belk.
Josh Belk.
Yeah, yeah. Again, I think if they can hold him out, it would behoove, because
he has been dealing with an ankle injury.
You're probably going to lose Kinlaw after this season. Would you think? You know, Kinlaw is eligible for the draft. He's probably at that point where, in his mind,
he can get another year.
He thinks he's ready to go.
He can get another year, but I don't think he would want it. So you're right.
Yeah. So but you got a ready-made man ready to step in and fill that zero technique, that one technique spot that'll open up when Kinlaw
make him sound like he's a robot. Ready-made man.
Ready-made man. Hey, thank you for that phone call there, Glenn. Good hearing from you. Glad you're well. All right, it's approaching the top of the hour. Dodgers are up 3-2, top of the 7th. We'll come back. We'll take more of your phone calls. Then we'll have 1st and 10 with Zach Willis. Also, a visit from the voice of the Panthers, Mick Mixon. What a win by the Panthers yesterday.
Very big win.
Their kicker was good. My kicker was not good yesterday.
Jets won, too. I know.
Yeah, what's y'all's record?
2-3 now.
Still losers. I mean, technically, you're still losers.
I would rather be losers than have a tie.
I agree. Well, that shouldn't be it. I'm not counting that as a tie. We are 3-2. We're not 2-1. By my accounting, we're 3-2. That was not a tie.
Does your accounting work with the league office?
That game was stolen from us. There's no question about it.
Interesting.
All right, top of the hour break. We shall return.
Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk South Carolina Radio Network. The professor's on vacation. The Braves are about to go on vacation. Manny Machado just hit a, 3-run homer? 6-2. That's 8 homers in the series for the Dodgers. They lead 6-2 in the top of the 7th.
It's great when you can just buy players like that.
Isn't it, though?
Yeah.
Really is.
Yeah.
I really like it.
Yeah.
800-956-7266.
They got him in a trade, but still. You know.
If you want to jump on the program, a couple lines are open, and we'd love to hear from you, your thoughts about the USC quarterback situation. Clemson, of course, with the idle week, they have some time to relax, get healthy, and get ready for what could or could not be a big game against NC State. Homecoming a week from Saturday, 3:30 kickoff on either ABC or ESPN. USC's got the 3:30 slot this coming Saturday against Texas A&M, which broke into the polls this week after its win this past weekend. Texas A&M with a tremendous defensive effort against the run on Kentucky. In fact, let me give you some of the numbers from around the SEC and ACC this weekend, beginning with Texas A&M. Held Kentucky to 178 total yards. Mr. Snell only got 60 yards. Trayvon Williams, 138 rushing yards for A&M and a touchdown. Kellen Mond, 18 of 29, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, 226 yards. Elsewhere around the SEC, it was Nick Fitzgerald, 195 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns for Mississippi State in the win over Auburn. Georgia, 560 yards in the win over Vandy. Jake Fromm, 17 of 23, 276 and 3 touchdowns. Ole Miss, 826 yards in the win over ULM, 517 passing.
So you beat directional Louisiana like that. That's fine.
Jordan Tiamu, 21 of 24, 374 yards, 3 touchdowns. Florida, 5 sacks in the win over LSU. Alabama, 639 yards in the win over Arkansas. Tua, 10 of 13, 334 yards and 4 touchdowns.
You know what they're saying about him? They're saying his numbers are being hurt by the fact that they're taking him out in favor of Jalen Hurts, and they're saying that he could shatter the quarterback efficiency records in college football, but he might not qualify because he might not have enough reps.
Unbelievable. Around the ACC, Georgia Tech rushed for 542 yards in the win over Louisville. Taquan Marshall, 175. Pitt running back Quadri Ollison, 192 yards rushing in the win over Syracuse. NC State, 533 yards in the win over Boston College. Ryan Finley was 25 of 34, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Kelvin Harmon, 9 catches, 128 yards. Florida State had only 200 yards in the loss to Miami. I am shocked at how bad Florida State is. Maybe I just don't know anything.
Al just tweeted us, tell us about the solid high school schedule that Clemson plays in the ACC. Is Dutch Fork next? Actually, Dutch Fork would be stiffer competition than ACC teams.
And Virginia Tech wide receiver Damon Hazelton had 12 catches in the loss to Notre Dame.
Solid.
Some notes from around the SEC and ACC. A breaking basketball recruiting note. Wendell Moore is just committed to Duke.
That's a shock.
Big-time player out of North Carolina. Had USC on his short list, but canceled his visit to USC, narrowed it to the in-state schools, and he has picked Duke.
Frank's going to get somebody from, I don't know, pick a random Eastern European country
or
Canada.
You know, if he can get the guys that he is involved with right now who've come in for visits, if he can get
Levesque.
If he can get Levesque, I mean, Levesque looks good to me on paper. Sure. And Gerald, what's Gerald's name? Drumgoole. Gerald Drumgoole looks pretty good to me on paper. He can get those guys. That makes up for a lot of ills, I think.
Yeah.
All right,
is he trying to build a Scrabble team or a basketball team?
Both.
Okay. Just want to make sure.
No Clemson press conference tomorrow since it's an off week, but Dabo Swinney did talk with the media this afternoon on the telephone and said this.
I hope everybody enjoyed a good day yesterday. It was good to not have to come in here yesterday and just everybody get a chance to take a little bit of a breather anyway. We did have CJ's funeral, and it was a beautiful service and emotional day for a lot of people, but definitely a beautiful service. But man, just kind of what I said, reiterate what I said the other night. I mean, just a special game, a lot of fun. Definitely our most complete game as far as putting it all together, running, passing, sacking the quarterback, controlling the line of scrimmage, created another turnover. Just so many good things in the game. We got a chance to play all the guys, and it's fun. It was a fun game, and we got a chance to see a lot of guys play and play well, and an opportunity to coach those guys. But I think our mission was completed. We wanted to create some confidence and momentum going into this open date, and feel good about finishing the first half of the season. I think we've done that. There's lots of positives. For sure. I mean, offensively, right at 700 yards, and what we did rushing, and 25 of 30 passing, no interceptions, and really solid in the red zone. And just our explosiveness continues to be a positive for us. 6 touchdowns to 50 yards or more, and just really a lot of good things to build on there. And then defensively, we just absolutely controlled the line of scrimmage. We handled their tempo. We lined up well. We pressured the quarterback, played in their backfield all night. We played good red zone defense. And, this was the second offense in this league coming in, and had, rushed the ball well on Notre Dame and put up 20-something points on Notre Dame, and really just pleased with our guys. I thought we tackled well, dominated third down. They were only 7 of 27 passing, and just a lot of good stuff. So really pleased. Did some good things in special teams as well. But you come off a game like that, and it's easy to feel good about it, but you turn the tape on, golly, we still got so many errors and things that we can improve on, for sure. Just had we did have a turnover, and we've got some fundamental technique things that we got to get better at all positions, and on both sides of the ball. So I just like where we are. I like the mindset that our team has. There's a lot of urgency within our coaching staff to try to improve on a lot of these details, because that's what we're going to have. We got to be coachable and relentless to improve. And so just huge week coming up.
That's Dabo Swinney again. He was talking also earlier in there about C.J. Fuller's funeral. C.J., of course, passing away late last week. Former Clemson running back.
All right, 800-956-7266 is the number. Coming up, we'll have First and 10 with Zach Willis. Looking forward to hearing his thoughts about the performance of Michael Scarnecchia and what South Carolina will do moving forward at quarterback, depending on the health, of course, of Jake Bentley. But Bentley's going to get healthy at some point, and what happens then? And then as far as Clemson is concerned, how do the Tigers build on what they did at Wake Forest with an extra week to get ready for NC State? In lieu of a caller, because we're short on time, we're going to go to our Terminex Best or Pest featuring Mr. Pelagic as our target subject tonight.
It's time for the Terminex Best Fan or Pest Fan of the Week. For over 70 years, Terminex has helped Carolina and Clemson fans protect what they love about living in the South, from football Saturdays to Sunday brunch.
I have not seen these questions beforehand, by the way.
That is correct. And considering your team just left town and you were kind of a closet fan.
Not my team.
All right, quickly, Clemson had 3 100-yard rushers against Wake Forest. When was the last time that happened, and who were the running backs?
Oh, I have no freaking clue. I have no idea.
2006, James Davis, C.J. Spiller, Demerick Chancellor, named from the past.
Wow.
USC set a historical mark with its win over Missouri. What was that?
First time that they've ever beaten Missouri 3 times in a row?
400th home victory.
Okay.
Michael Scarnecchia was the winning quarterback Saturday for USC against Missouri. Who was the last second-team quarterback to win his first start for the Gamecocks and win?
Dylan Thompson?
Dang. Jake Bentley, 2016 versus UMass. I know that was kind of a trick question, but it's true. He was the second-team quarterback. He got promoted, and he won his first start.
It was the first time that Missouri or South Carolina had a 3-game win streak in the series.
Yeah, but that really wasn't the historical point I was getting at.
It's okay.
There you go.
It is a historical
you, sir,
point.
Qualify as a pest.
You know who's not
with
a pest?
Those strikeouts.
My guy next, Zach Willis.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
Here we go. It's my favorite part of the week. First down, 10 yards to go, 10 minutes with the coach, Zach Willis.
You say that practically with every segment that we have.
No, that's not true.
But it is true that we do love having Zach Willis with us.
I have 10. Particular love for Zach that lasts throughout the entire week.
By the way, I can announce tonight that we begin the week, and this is kind of neat. We begin the week with Zach Willis, first and 10. We're going to end the week every Friday night now through the rest of the football season at 7:45 with Ellis Johnson, fourth and goal. So Ellis will give you the final look at the teams heading into the weekend, his take and breakdown on USC, Clemson, and other things around the SEC and ACC to wrap up the week. So, Coach, you begin it, and your good buddy Ellis Johnson will cap it off.
Well, Ellis Johnson's forgot more football than I know. He's a friend, but he's more like a role model to me. Somebody I look up to, and it's an honor to be working alongside him for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's begin with this past weekend, crazy as it was, and Michael Scarnecchia. What was your take on him? What's going to happen moving forward with the Gamecock quarterback's position?
Extremely poised, great decisions, played within himself, didn't try to do too much, took care and managed the game exceptionally well, and just a really solid performance. Extremely impressed by him.
What do you do if you're the coaching staff?
I always had a rule, Phil. If I'm the coach, a starter never loses his job due to injury. So if Jake Bentley comes back as a number one quarterback, but there's a whole lot. Now that I know I've got a player sitting behind him that's that good, there's a whole lot more pressure for him to perform and be mistake-free because I know I've got a guy on the bench who it looks to me like can get it done.
Did he do enough to? And again, this is kind of a playoff of the answer and the playoff of Corn's question. But if it's a situation where we're resetting the goalposts, let's say the season starts tomorrow, did he show you enough on Saturday to where he commanded the offense better at peak health than Jake Bentley did?
Honestly, I would say no, because it's one game, and he played great for one game. But I've seen before where guys come out, they're one-hit wonders, and then they just kind of go away. And I just can't get. I always go back to you dance with the girl you brung, and you want to stick with Jake if you can. Number one, the precedent here. Everybody's watching what you're doing as a head coach. Number two, it's a matter of fairness. Jake Bentley, got hurt and has not played horribly by any stretch of the imagination. Scarnecchia played great on Saturday, and I would definitely reward him with some reps next week. And if Jake struggles, hey, then, you make the change. I mean, you've got that luxury, but play it out to its logical conclusion. Don't have a knee-jerk reaction because that reflects poorly on the head coach if he does it too quickly. It's all about how you do it in circumstance and situation.
Does Muschamp, and again, without us having access to the injury report, Zach, does Muschamp have the cover, if you will, that he needs to basically say, look, we just don't feel like putting him out there again on that injured knee. We feel like we can get this week and the bye to make sure he's fully healthy going into the home game against Tennessee?
I think that's definitely, if Bentley is not 100%, I would absolutely go with Scarnecchia. Absolutely. I think the cover's there. This kid showed he could play at a high level. He won a ball game for you. A lot of quarterbacks would not have been able to win, I don't believe.
We are visiting with Zach Willis, first and 10 with Zach here on Sports Talk, talking about South Carolina's win over Missouri. And the great thing for them, it was a huge day, an important game for South Carolina. They needed a win in the worst way, and they got it. They found a way. I want you to dig down deeper than just X's and O's. We talked about how Clemson and the culture of winning that has been developed there over the last 5 years kind of saved them in the win over Syracuse. They had to go to a backup mid-game, and he pulled the win out of the hat for them. Same thing with South Carolina. They don't have the culture of winning that Clemson does, but Muschamp says all the right things. He's trying to build this program from the ground up. this kind of win certainly helps in getting that message across to everyone outside the program, including recruits, that the culture of winning is starting to take shape?
Well, the thing, Phil, that I look at too is that it was more of who was going to lose that game first, and Missouri found a way to lose it. South Carolina, there's too much trash talking and not enough defense played on that defense right now. Bryson Allen Williams and Kinlaw continue to be incredibly productive over there, but they had penalty after penalty. Had 11 penalties. You can't win with 11 penalties many times. The kicking game, the special teams, winning the game, you've seen the team get a punt block, drop a punt snap, and fail on a fake field goal and still win the game.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get by with it. And I'm talking from a coaching point of view. But you know what? You're right about one thing. They've got some disciplinary issues, not off the field. I'm not talking about the big discipline. I'm talking about let's tone it back a little bit. Let's tighten up and focus a little bit on defense. And I think you'll see them play a whole lot better. And the biggest thing is this: they found a way to win. That is the key. That's what he builds on. He tightens them up a little bit. Hey, no more trash talking. Don't act like you're autographing the football when you intercept it. Focus on the game and focus on the win. But what do we need to do to get better?
I hear you. And you made these comments last week after Kentucky, and here it is the next week, and it's kind of the same thing. Are the players not listening? Are they not? Are they? Is Muschamp not making it clear enough to? Now he kind of shrugged it off a little bit last week. Yes, he doesn't want the penalties, but he says, you know what? I'd rather say whoa than giddy up. In other words, kind of encouraging it. But here it comes back to bite them again the second week in a row. Is he not approaching this in the right way?
Well, I would have immediately jerked those kids out of the game and gave them a good talking to on the sideline, but that's me.
Mm-hmm.
Every coach has his style. I don't think it's being addressed. If you begin to see a deterioration in the conduct of your players, it results in foolish penalties, which are detrimental to your team, missed assignments. The problem was gap integrity on defense against a defensive run. It's not talent, okay? Kinlaw's as talented as anybody you got out there. It's gap integrity, getting out of your gaps, missing tackles, and it's because they're focused on trash talking, on woofing it up, on taunting the opponent, and you can't do that. You have to be consistent. It takes every bit of mental energy you've got to play and focus on your job. Does Alabama do that stuff? No, they never have. Do you see Clemson do it? If you do, you'll see Dabo's face turn purple because they know that a loss of focus is not going to win many games.
No,
purple.
That's good. It actually turns regalia because that's one of Clemson's colors.
Yeah.
Zach, you hit on something. You triggered something when you said gap integrity. It was one thing that I was talking to multiple people in the press box. It's like with the run defense, which would probably be the one frustrating thing that I would take out of this game if I was a South Carolina fan. Did they not learn the lessons that they had to learn the hard way from the first half against Kentucky when it comes to gap integrity?
No, I mean, film says it all, and that question is absolutely not. They let a much poorer team in Kentucky come in and run it right down their throats. They ran it over 40 times and averaged over 6 yards a carry. That's unacceptable. And, you need to focus again. It goes back to fundamentals. It goes back to the discipline. Holding your gap is discipline. Discipline's not going out and getting DUI. And that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about doing your job on the football field. And that's job number one. Job number two, besides holding your gap and being in your spot, is making tackles. And that's another thing, especially in the back end, that they don't do very well. In the back end means the defensive backfield. They don't tackle well at all.
Zach Willis, 1st and 10. We're going to hold him over for a couple of more minutes to get a few comments on Clemson, though what can you say about a 60-point win on the road? The Tigers are still worth talking about. Maybe Zach can find something. Dabo, we just heard from Dabo, and Dabo was trying his best.
Plenty of places where we need to improve, Phil. There's plenty of reasons why I say we. I'm speaking from Dabo's point of view.
Dabo's trying to dig up something to complain about. Hard to when you win by 60. Maybe Zach can share a complaint or two with us when we come back, and then we'll have David Shelton recap of a big Friday night of high school football with some tremendous finishes, both in the upstate and the low country.
Trying to find an error in Clemson's ways Saturday, it'd be easy to try and find a pimple on a model's face.
Dodgers are leading the Braves 6-2, and there are 2 out in the bottom of the 7th. We'll be right back.
You like that analogy?
Not particularly.
I don't ever want you to hear the reserve talk about Missouri as my Tigers again, because I'm disowning that entire state after the people in my mentions.
They've turned on you already, huh?
They've turned because they don't know how to, use their eyes instead of using their hearts.
All right, back to Zach Willis. Couple of more minutes. 1st and 10 with Zach, and then David Shelton on high school football. So anyway, what did Clemson do wrong Saturday?
Well, I felt like Lawrence started off pretty shaky, honestly. I mean, I saw a lot wrong there. I'm
Oh, come on.
Well, he started off shaky. He had a big.
He did.
For 10 minutes and 20 seconds in the first quarter. What'd he do? He fumbled.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's inexcusable. Okay, you can't have that.
20 of 25, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns.
Well, I mean, I'm just telling you, for the 5 of those,
He's answering the question, Corn.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Zach. I shouldn't interrupt. It's not my place.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I understand you guys in love with them. I understand that. But that's not my job. My job is to look at it like a coach. Now, if I look at it like a fan, they're a great team. But he's got to get better, okay, because people are going to put pressure when Wake Forest got tired and that big defense started pounding on their offense. And Etienne came in and broke that huge run. About 6:25 to go in the first quarter, things changed.
Mm-hmm.
But the first 8 minutes or so of that game, they're a little bit sluggish. They've shown to be slow starters as they go. But with a defense like they have, they can afford to be. Okay, but we want to see him get better, guys. He's got to improve.
You know what I'm going to do next time for Halloween this year? I'm going to dress up as a fanboy Clemson reporter. I'm going to go up there and I'm going to ask him, just because I'm curious, what he uses for shampoo and conditioner.
Yeah, is that right?
Just because that's a fanboy question.
What are you going to wear?
I'll probably wear something with a tiger paw. I'll have to borrow something. You have any orange I can borrow?
I don't, but there's plenty of it up there.
Maybe
What do you think? What do you think they work on
this week?
This week, yeah, thank you. And getting ready for NC State. What do you think they're going to focus on?
Well, I think first of all, NC State, probably got them worried a little bit because NC State's had a history of upsetting Clemson over the years. And your coaches look at everything they can. I think defensively they're going to work on their open field tackling, making sure they're doing the things in space they need to. Their linebacker play needs to keep getting better. 57 had a heck of a game for them the other day. They played well. But the biggest thing is he's got to bring this team back down and keep them on an even keel after a massive win like that. That's a challenge. You have to handle failure, but you also have to handle success. And Dabo has shown throughout the years in his career and that staff, they've been able to handle success. But that's the focus right now, is just getting them back down to ground zero so that they stay humble and hungry.
Coach, as always, we thank you. Have a great week. Look forward to talking to you next week about South Carolina, Texas A&M, and then we'll look ahead more to Clemson, NC State. We thank you.
All right, guys.
Zach Willis, 1st and 10. Zach Willis here on Sports Talk. And let's shift gears quickly and get to the high school scene where David Shelton is standing by.
It's brought to you by the fine folks at Farm Bureau Insurance for a new rate quote, auto, home, life, and health. Online, favrates.com for Farm Bureau Insurance, sponsoring our high school report.
All right. And David, good to have you with us. And as we talked on Friday night, from one end of the state to the other, we had some exciting finishes. Let's begin with the game that you were at, and it was a great finish. Fort Dorchester and Berkeley obviously could have gone either way, and the Patriots came away with the victory.
Yeah, certainly could have gone either way. And by the way, good evening to both of you guys. But could have went Berkeley's way, to be honest with you. I mean, they had opportunities to win that game, but you have to sometimes sit back and just kind of look at Fort Dorchester and their coaching staff and their players. They're on the road. There's 6,500 people there. Everybody's expecting their low country win streak to end at 30. They're down 14-0 in the third quarter, and they find a way to win. I mean, Steve LaPrade will tell you, they've been in a lot of big games, and that helps. I mean, they play teams from Georgia and Florida. They played Dutch Fort 4 times over the last couple of years. I mean, they've been in some big venues and big games, and they know how to handle it. And they handled it. I mean, they controlled that fourth quarter. They dominated it and got it to overtime, and then made the extra point. The difference was an extra point, but very well could have lost. I mean, Berkeley had the ball on the 3-yard line at the end of the game and missed field goal, and into the second quarter, they screwed up what down it was. Again, they were on the 3-yard line, and they thought it was 3rd down when it was 4th down. Just things you can't do in games like that. I mean, obviously you can't do that, but in a game where you need every single point, they left 6 or 10 points out there on the field.
All right, and in the upstate, an equally exciting finish in the last 90 seconds. Gaffney gets a touchdown on a great catch by Harris, I think was the receiver. Just got the twinkle toes down at the back of the end zone. and out-wrestled the Dorman defensive back for the football 22-19. What a big win for the Indians. I think this, if any game pronounces Gaffney as being back among the state's elite, this one probably does it.
Well, I think it does for a week now. Now, Gaffney has had a history of pulling off an upset and then laying an egg. So let's see what happens. But they're certainly one of the top 5 or 6 teams in 5A. A tremendous win. You know, I watched that video about 35 times, and I'm still not sure the Dorman kid didn't have control when they hit the ground, and then they got wrestled away. So unbelievable play by both guys, the DB and the receiver. You know, now Dorman's got to, you know, they barely survived Spartanburg, and then they lose to Gaffney late, and now they got Burns. So, I mean, this is a tough stretch for the Dorman Cavaliers. No question about it.
All right. Other than getting your pick of the 96 Saluda game wrong, say you're sorry, by the way. What surprised you on Friday night?
Well, that game didn't actually – it didn't shock me that 96 won. You just put me on the spot, and I had to make a pick real quick.
No, I'm talking serious, though. What did surprise you?
There wasn't I mean, 96 is a really good football team. Their running back, and I'm sorry I can't remember his name, but, I mean, they're putting up big-time numbers on the ground.
His name is 97.
His number 97 on the 96 squad.
Tay Brown or Josh Booker, which one?
I think it's Booker. I think Booker has like close to 1,000 yards now. And they're
You're surprised I knew that, did you?
I'm stunned. I almost jumped off the road.
He looked it up. Don't let him fool you.
Oh, he looked it up.
Yeah,
okay.
he's looking it up.
Thank God for Max Prep.
Yeah, it's okay. Google too.
You know, but that was a big win. I mean, there were I think the South Point game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, that Lim and Lancaster went back and forth. This Lancaster team, they're pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think 4A in the upper state particularly, you're talking like Westwood and Greer and South Point and Lancaster, and I know I'm missing somebody. Belton Honeypath, you know, suffered their first loss of the season, but they've had a great year.
BC going down to South Aiken and losing.
Not a tremendous shock. BC's just kind of been up and down. You know, they started good, and they went through that little rut where they gave up a lot of points, and it seems like defensively is where they're having the most of their issues. But you know, they can score some points, but they're just not consistent enough. Now they could get on a run. The fun thing about the football season, the next 3 or 4 weeks are going to be great games. They're going to be really big games. All the region stuff is now, especially here in the lower states, you know, they all count now. None of these more non-region games. These are all counting. And so I think you're going to see teams ratchet up a little bit, and it's going to be fun to watch.
All right, real quick, got to give a shout-out to old Bobby Carroll at York. He dialed up the defense 14-6 over Westwood. That's a significant win for York.
Absolutely, because, you know, Westwood coming off that loss where they had a shot to beat South Point, and York caught them and dominated them defensively. And you know, you said it. You know, Bobby Carroll is going to find a way in a lot of games to pull out the defense. And this is a big win for York because now they can build on this going forward towards the playoffs as we reach the last couple of weeks.
Okay, David, enjoy your week, sir. We thank you. Catch you Friday night. Looking forward to another big night of Friday night football across the state, and we thank you.
Absolutely.
Congrats to your Vikings for winning, by the way.
Vikings. I don't like to brag too much on the Vikings. Just know that they did pound East Clarendon into submission.
Well, you know what you do when you see Lada and East Clarendon line up? You know what you do?
What do you do?
You just throw out the records.
They just throw
right
out the window.
Throw them out.
Out the window.
Throw them out.
From 63 yards away. Wow. Graham Gano to win the game. 6 seconds left. Snap. Spot. Gano's kick is long. It's end over end. And this kick is good. Oh, he did it. He did it. Unbelievable.
So that call was impressive from Mick Mixon, Eugene, and the folks at the Panther Radio Network. And we usually, as we always do on a Monday, talk to the voice of the Panthers, Mick Mixon. That was impressive, but since we are an equal opportunity bilingual program, we must feel obligated to share how it sounded on the Spanish broadcast of the game.
Tiene altura, tiene profundidad, va a llegar, va a llegar. ¡Ganó, lo ganó! ¡Ganó, lo ganó! ¡Ganó, lo ganó! ¡Ganó, lo ganó! ¡Señor! ¡Ganó, lo ganó! ¡Ganó, lo ganó! ¡Dios sí le voy a los Panthers! ¡Dios sí le voy a los Panthers!
So Mick,
you got out-Ganoed.
Why are you getting shown up by the Spanish broadcast now?
I just can't get there. I know what to do. You take one phrase and you holler it about, I don't know, 8, 11, 12 times. But it just, man, I just have to tip my cap to Jamie and Luis.
Could you hear them in your you hear them in your booth?
Sometimes we can. I talked to Jamie about it one time. He said, Mick, this is our culture. He said, even doing a commercial for a funeral home, you got to put the energy into it, or
it doesn't
he said
sell.
We call it the wake up grandma style of broadcasting.
Well, they got a lot of attention, but the attention should be on Gano and your team for pulling out a tremendous win yesterday against a Giants team that really needed to win as well. And you guys found a way to do it. What beside, it always comes down, when it comes down to a kick, it's all you think about. But what got the Panthers, in your opinion, in a back and forth game in a position to pull this thing out?
It's hard to give credit to the opponent sometimes, Corn. Your view tends to be Panther-centric or Packer-centric or Gamecock or Clemson or whatever. So you think, you either did good or you did bad, but sometimes the opponent has something to do with it. I thought the Giants really brought the fight. Manning had they had the moving pocket. They rolled Manning out a lot in that game. They hadn't shown as much of that, and they had some success with, Barkley's a handful, Beckham's a handful. I think Cam Newton said he needed to play better. He had the 2 interceptions, including one real bad miss of Ian Thomas, who was wide open. That led to the Giants being able to score the go-ahead points. Let's see. Manning had been sacked 15 times prior to yesterday's game. The Panthers only got him on the ground once, so that's an area for potential growth. I think what Coach Rivera was most pleased with, Phil, was that just how the Panthers just kind of hung in there and, did some good things, made some mistakes too, but figured out a way to make it a win somehow, some way.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel they kind of at least handle the 2 big skill position players with Beckham and Saquon? Obviously, Saquon didn't get much on the ground. He did more of his damage in the passing game, and same for Beckham, 8 catches, but he was targeted 14 times.
Yeah, well, I don't know. What would you say? B, maybe B minus. It was all right. I mean, the Panthers were pleased with the number of rushing yards they allowed, but that stat can ring a little hollow when you see how good Saquon Barkley was in the passing game and how they used him. There's the one trick play, that's that old saw, they use a trick play because they can't beat you the old-fashioned way. Well, maybe, but New York almost did.
Thomas Davis back today, suspension over. What does that mean? First of all, he's going to have fresh legs and renewed energy. He stepped right back into his role automatically.
I think so, but Shaq Thompson is a stallion, and so it's a good problem for the Panther coaches to have on D, and that is how to keep Shaq Thompson oiled up and keep using what he's been bringing while at the same time getting Thomas Davis his rightful snaps and his reps out on the field. Greg Olsen could be back as well. The news is pretty good about the 88, and so What do you guys think tonight? You got Washington against the Saints tonight. What kind of opponent you think the Skins will be after tonight's game?
Yeah, it's kind of a double scout for you, is it not? Because like I said last week, this is part of your the NFC East portion of your schedule where you get 3 of them in a row, and of course it comes against a divisional opponent tonight with the Saints, and obviously a chance for you to maybe kind of get your first peek at what New Orleans has got going on.
Well, I got a peek last week because the scout on the Giants was the Saints-Giants game. The Saints played the Giants last week when the Panthers were open. So that was a lot of fun to see that game. 33-18 was that final score. The Giants didn't look like a 1-2 football team in that game. But, you know, I think Josh Norman may not play. From what I read, Norman may not play in the Panthers game next weekend.
Howard Katz has got to get a little more creative with that schedule making in there in the league office, just because all these games up against each other with all the NFC East games.
I got 2 questions for you. Number 1, can I trade my kicker for your kicker? And number 2, are the Yankees going to win the series with the Red Sox?
Let's take the first one first. Is Mason Crosby still your kicker?
Well, he was until yesterday. No, he's still the kicker. I mean, it was quite a touching scene after the game to see Aaron Rodgers go over there and put his arm around him and say, hey, you know, you cost us the game, but that's okay. We still love you. Actually, he didn't totally cost him the game. It was pretty close. I mean, when you clunk, 4 field goals and an extra 2 extra points, I think it was, or an extra point.
Missed 5 kicks altogether.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I know you were busy with your own game. That's why I really didn't watch your game. I was watching my guys.
I was watching their game.
But now I'm into the Yankees. And I want this series with the Red Sox badly.
What do you think?
I like our team. I like our chances. Gave up 3 loud outs in the top of the first.
Our being me, you, and the mouse in your pocket. You and the mouse in your pocket.
Now, listen, I have no fear about announcing my love for my teams: Yankees, Packers, Celtics.
Do you have a hockey team?
He loves the Canadiens.
The Canadiens of the '60s.
Those Maurice Rocket.
You're one of a kind, man. I swear, man. I love you, bro.
Hey, what you got tonight on the Panthers show?
Good show. We caught up with Chase Blackburn, special teams coach. Special teams. I mean, I'm embarrassed and apologetic. I didn't talk about special teams more in the body of our interview because that Panthers don't win yesterday without being stellar on teams, not just the Gano kick. So we'll talk to Chase Blackburn, the architect of that tonight. Marty Herney, Coach Rivera is going to be on live, so we're ready for a good show.
You sound great. I'm glad you're feeling better. Last time we talked to you before the break, I think you were dealing with a little bit of a cold or something. So good to hear that you're doing well.
You got it from me.
Don't let those guys next door outshout you now.
No, we got to run go back, look at it, study it, run down through it, and see what we need to do to get up to Jamie and Luis's level.
To get louder.
Ever the preparation goes.
Thank you, Mick. We'll talk to you next week, and good luck.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, you too.
You ever watch a soccer game from the Spanish perspective?
No,
it's basically the same type of difference between in the energies.
I don't watch soccer.
I know you don't.
By the way, we should mention very good race at Dover yesterday. Chase Elliott coming away with the win. He's a championship contender, so he gets the first pass into the round of 8, a race that had Kevin Harvick. That's the thing about racing, man. Kevin Harvick was just cruising along, sailing along, had the field covered, and then there was a caution, and then there were accidents, and there was a lot of strategy played out over the last couple of stops with guys taking 2 tires versus 4 tires or staying out and not coming in. Played a big role in Chase Elliott ending up winning that race.
Might be the last gasp here for the Braves. They got the tying run on deck. They've got 2 on, and they've got Lucas Duda at the plate. Perhaps a last chance for them to at least stay in this series with the Dodgers trailing 6-2.
Okay, it's all rise time at Yankee Stadium. You know what that means. The judge is at the plate.
For a can of corn?
You know, the guy has hit a home run in every playoff game so far.
That's fun.
In the playoffs.
That's fun.
Love to see one more right now. That really make me feel good. All right, so tomorrow, a Talking Tuesday with the Gamecocks doing the talking.
A half Talking Tuesday.
Yeah, there'll still be plenty of yakking going on. Wednesday, we'll be up in the upstate for Brad Brownell. And Thursday, Frank Martin talks. We got a lot of great stuff to come your way here on Sports Talk. You have a great night.
You do the same.
Brian, thank you so much. And thanks to all of you. We'll see you tomorrow night right here on Sports Talk.